there folks, my name is Hayes Griffin and today I'm going to talk to you about crosspicking. I'm assuming that if you found this video you're somewhat familiar with bluegrass or flatpick guitar playing and the terminology associated with it. If I'm wrong about this and you have questions, please leave them in the comments section below and I'll answer anything as best as I can. Crosspicking is a technique that's been employed by almost every legendary bluegrass or flatpicking guitar player. It was first developed by a man named George Shuffler in the 1950s when he was playing with the Stanley Brothers. Shuffler used the technique primarily to play fills behind Ralph and Carter's singing and to fill in the melody notes of his solos when he was taking a break with the band. The technique can be boiled down to one basic right hand pattern, and we're going to use the grouping of three strings on your guitar, the D through the B string, so D, G, and B string. And this technique, the basic pattern is down, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. And what I mean by the downs and ups there are downstrokes and upstrokes, so down, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, and then the pattern repeats. The first two downstrokes are slightly different. Most players commonly will play a rest stroke on the first downstroke, where you play through the D string and land on the G string. You can kind of see my right hand landing on the G string there. And then you play the G string as a free stroke. So you don't land on the B string, you kind of pull away. Down, rest, free stroke, up, down, rest, free stroke, up, and then a free stroke, up. So that is the basic right hand pattern that Shuffler would use when he was taking solos or playing fills, as I said. And it's pretty much been used by every great guitar player since Shuffler. Doc Watson, Clarence White, and Tony Rice all use that same pattern at the core of their playing. So before we go any further and talk about any variations on this, I want to show you one of George Shuffler's breaks on a tune that he used to sing with the Stanley Brothers called Another Day, Another Dollar. So, as you can see from that last video, Shuffler didn't strictly stick to down, down, up, down, down, up all of the time, but rather used bits and pieces of that pattern to kind of fit the melody that he was playing. I know that seems a bit confusing, but trust me, if you practice the down, down, up, down, down, up pattern a lot, it'll be a heck of a lot easier to switch back and forth between different little cells within that pattern. So with that being said, modern players have kind of modified this technique from George Shuffler's style to use alternate picking instead of the two downstrokes played in a row. That gives you a little more freedom, at least further on down the line, when you want to skip strings instead of playing groups of strings that are directly next to each other or adjacent to one another. So instead of down, down, up, down, up, players like Brian Sutton or David Greer would go down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. So that sounds a little confusing, but it's really just alternating your hand back and forth. And if you've been playing guitar for a while, that's probably what you're used to. Because those are a little different and confusing, now I'm going to play George Shuffler's break on Another Day, Another Dollar, but the first time I'll play it Shuffler style. The second time I'll use alternate picking to play the same break, so check it out. Now that you've seen both of those styles in action on the same break, I'll say that I think it's beneficial to learn both of those styles in the beginning and then decide if you'd rather use one over the other. Or keep both of them in your playing. I prefer to practice both of them because I feel that there are subtle differences in the sounds produced by each way of playing. The shuffler style is a little louder and more staccato, like I said, more reminiscent of a banjo's kind of tone. And then the modern approach is a little smoother and fluid. So when you get into playing faster, I feel like the modern approach is maybe a little more mobile, but that could just be my personal preference. Experiment for yourself and check each one out. I think you'll see that they both have their uses. To really get a handle on both of these patterns, I would suggest practicing them for at least 5 minutes a day with a metronome. I know a lot of people hate the metronome, but it can never hurt your playing to play with something that's keeping time for you. It'll only lock it in that much more for you. It may seem frustrating at first, but trust me, it gets easier with time. So when I started, I put the metronome around 40 or 50 beats per minute. That may be too slow or too fast for you, depending. Everybody is different, so don't let that discourage you. But find a place on the metronome that's comfortable for you to where you can play all of the notes clearly and not have to worry about making mistakes. So with that, I'll say once you've gotten the hang of this pattern and can kind of play it up to speed a little bit, it's time to throw it into a tune. In my next lesson, I'm going to be giving an in-depth breakdown of the George Shuffler Another Day, Another Dollar. So if you think you're ready for that, or when you're ready for that, head on over there and check that out. I think it'll be good. After learning Another Day, Another Dollar, I think it's important to start experimenting with your own favorite vocal tunes and throwing cross-picking into them. The reason I say vocal tunes as opposed to fiddle tunes is because, like I've said a couple times in the lesson already, this style was developed as a way to embellish those vocal melodies. When you get fast fiddle tunes, there are a lot of notes in there, and it doesn't leave much space for your right hand to do those kind of roll patterns. So that's something to keep in mind as you go forward with this technique. Well, folks, I think that brings us to the end of the lesson for today. I hope you've enjoyed your survey on cross-picking, and if you have any questions or concerns, please leave them in the comments section below. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Be sure to check out the link to my website below, which has links to notation and write-ups on everything I've talked about today. And if you enjoyed the lesson, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. There are going to be more lessons coming out like this in the near future, and it'd be great to have you on board if you're interested in learning about some flat pick or bluegrass related techniques on the guitar. Lastly, if you're interested in Skype lessons, my email is located below, and there we can kind of dig into some of these concepts a little more than I have time for on the YouTube lessons. So get in touch with me there, and I'd be glad to talk with you about setting one up. Until next time, folks, have great fun cross-picking, and we'll see you down the line.